Tell me the story, if there is one, about Eddie and the song Rise, the connection.
So now I told Gary, hey, I'm cutting a solo today. Rise, and Gary was in town to do a vocal on it as well. We were going to do it in the afternoon. He goes, hey, just letting you know I'm going to lunch today. Talk to you later. I go, yeah, come back about 2 o'clock. So about noon hits and my phone is blowing up. And I'm like, Gary, I'm like, what the fuck does this guy want? It's like, I told him to code. And it's like, and I'm like, dismiss, whatever. Calls again. Dismiss, calls again. I decline. And he's texting me. He's like, get down here, man. Like, get down to the front of the house. And I'm like, no, I'm recording a fucking solo. You should know better. Leave me alone. And then I'm like, he hits me up and I go, okay, something must be fucking going on. Yeah, that's the most Gary has called me and texted me in 10 years. Something's got to be going on. So I go down from my fucking Hollywood Hills. You have to go, when you go down, you got to go down because all the houses are built like this. It's like, so I'm going down, I open the door and I'm ready to go like, what the fuck? And I see Edward. And I'm like, okay, that's a good reason to annoy me. And yeah, and it was amazing. Biggest hug. I haven't seen him in a minute. Big kiss and hug.
When was this though? What year?
It was like 2000. I want to say 2019.
Okay.
Like early 2000, mid 2019, basically. I'm horrible with dates, but give or take a year.
Okay.
It was right around there. Give or take 6 months. I don't document much, but I come down and Eddie's he's super good spirits and he's playing songs in his car through the window about like what Wolfie's doing. It's a new album that now we know that he's playing all the instruments and everything. Mm-hmm. Proud Papa telling us about it, And then he tells us, hey, between us, I said, what are you up to? He goes, yeah, we're doing, we're gonna do a tour with the original cast. We're gonna go out the way we came in, Michael Anthony and Tony. And I was like, fucking amazing. That's how it should be.
Yeah.
Super exciting. And then he was like, man, Gary tells me you're recording. If they're recording, he's like, man, I want to hear it. And, the fucking Virgo in me, the idiot in me goes, wait, I want to wait till it's done. I want to play it for you come back. And of course, I regret it beyond regret it now because he never came back. And for the reasons that we all know, which was sad. And we didn't know he was that sick and that close at the time. Yeah. And when I went back up, it was Rise, the solo that I was recording, which is really interesting because it's the irony of it being the first single and the irony of the reaction it's getting as a guitar solo and everything. And even like some people have said in some things that they've posted online, and some of my peers have hit me up and go, man, you've taken that throne, bro. You've taken that throne, that Edward throne. And I say to him and I say to you, go fuck yourself. Because that is impossible. Nobody has taken that throne. Not me, not Vi, not even Paige. Nobody's taken the Edward throne because Paige has got his own throne. But that throne is sitting there with Edward, and it's like Game of Thrones. Instead of swords, it's a bunch of guitars, guitar necks, and it sits there, empty for now, but fulfilled because we have all the music for fucking decades that we're gonna listen to forever until we're all gone, and generations after us. And nobody can take that seat. Nobody can take that throne. I'm playing the way I am because of Edward and Brian and Jimmy and all these guys. So there's no way that I can take Edward's throne. All I can do in the hopes of it when he did pass is the irony of it is that hopefully when that solo, the day he was here and that solo comes out, and maybe he's just looking down and saying, hey, you know what? You done good, kid. Right. Like I'm digging it. Because that's all I wanted to do was play it for him and just like, what do you think, man? Like, is there a smile on your face, or tell me to go fuck myself, go back to the drawing board, this is weak, I don't know, whatever it's going to be. But my point being is that, of course he's in there. Of course it's a tribute to Eddie. Of course it is. I didn't record it for him. A lot of people confuse that story. I told one story and they're like, oh, bet record new song, new solo. Did the whole album after Eddie passed and it's a tribute to Edward. I'm like, no, it's not. That album was already recorded, but I will say this, the little nod on Rise after he passed was one thing we all knew after 1978 when that came out. We all knew one thing, not only Edward, came off of some fucking spaceship and they dropped him and we didn't know what the fuck was happening, but we also knew that we were doomed in the sense that none of us could ever use a Phase 90 pedal ever again. We knew that you could use it if you wanted to, but you knew that everybody was going to point at it and you go like, you're trying to do what Edward did. Even if he's just a phaser, I'm sorry, he owns it. He made it his. From that VH1 onward, it was a wrap, done, signed, sealed, delivered.
Right.
So I've never used one. I don't think ever on an Extreme album, even as much as I wanted to. I was like, because I knew what was going to happen. It was going to be, you're already influenced by Eddie. We can already hear it and you're playing, but now come on, really? Now you're wearing his clothes, for fuck's sake. Like, stop it.
Right.
You're wearing his musical sonic clothing at this point. And so I went back and I had already recorded that solo that day. I finished it. And I went back after he passed. I'm like, fuck, I don't want to re-record it because I don't re-record things. Whatever I cut and whatever I do, there's magic there. I don't like to go back in because there's even in the beginning of the solo that one of the first notes I went to hit for a bend in my head. Physically, it didn't happen in my 57-year-old hands. I missed like the whole string and I think I hit 3 strings at the same time. And I left it in there because it does this, it's just weird. I'll give anybody $1 million if they can decipher what note that is, because there is no note. It's like, it sounds like a car accident with a kick drum and an electric guitar through I don't know what it is, but it felt so fucking great when I hit it. And when I heard it back, yo, what the fuck was, I couldn't replay it if I wanted to. So I leave those things. I leave the noises and I leave the imperfections. It's super important to me to leave me letting go of a string, or something might even be a little out of tune, whatever it is. If it feels like something, there's no fucking way I'm touching that motherfucker. No way. Because I want everybody else to feel that. That's the other thing I think what people are excited about. A lot of people play really well now. I mean, really, really well. And some of the danger gets taken out of it. That danger of you going for shit that you might not hit, or shit that's like, that, you know, even when I'm playing the fast part at the end and everybody's, oh my God, it's so precise. If you really want to hear, there's 2 parts of that solo that sound like, wow, do you see what he did there? They're almost like harmonics. No, I like, while I'm playing it and discovering it, I'm missing like 3 notes in a row and it's going, and it's doing some weird fucking shit. I'm like, oh yeah. I was on purpose. I was really expressing myself. No, I was like, fuck it. It sounds fiery. It sounds amazing. And it hit harmonics instead of the notes, whatever the fuck. But back to the Edward thing is, I went back, I couldn't do this because the song was already recorded. So I said, fuck it. I literally went online and I searched Phase 90 plugin. Is there a real good digital plugin that emulates the Phase 90? And I found one and it was free. And I was like, wow, okay, this is means. And I literally went and I put it on that fucking solo.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I put it on there because that was my silent, quiet way of like tipping the hat and the nod to say, I'm almost tearing up right now telling you this, but like to say like, thank you. And to say like, this solo this is for you. This solo belongs to you because it's literally the opening of like, you know, tremolo picking of what you did in Eruption, for God's sake. So why not throw the Phase 90 in there? Yeah. You know what the Phase 90 does? What was really interesting what the Phase 90 did for Edward is like, you take a Phase 90 pedal and you do that same thing. Just sit there with a few notes or one note. I don't know, it's one signal. Like he does, or the beginning of Rise was just climbing. You listen to that, same notes, same everything, same amp, same guitar. The front end of the picking is almost, it's there, but it becomes something you stop listening to because it sounds the same every time.
Right.
Phase 90 gives it that every time you pick that note, it's a nuance that you've never heard before.
Right.
It does this weird thing because of the phase. It's like this, it's almost like, I use the word chop. It's this thing, and it brings out the picking that makes it sound so much more intense, so much more emotional, so much more like in the speaker that it's right here. Right. So when I put it on, 2 things happened. I was excited, but I was also pissed that I hadn't used it before because I'm like, oh my God, it makes all the picking sound so much more exciting than muting and everything I've been doing for fucking 40 years. I wish I had thrown it in. But that's what it did, and that's why it sounded like, that's that Edward sound, that front end when he's fucking going for it. And I went, I finally sound a little bit like Edward because of that fucking Phase 90. But yeah, that was...
That whole thought came from an emotional feeling. And so then you acted upon your emotional feeling and made it happen in the music and in the guitar part. So it's just added that other element to what was already there.
Yeah.
Check it out.
There it is, man. I mean, there it is.
So I bought this in 74. or 5.
Wow.
Every year they came out. This is the first one.
Wow.
And I think it was $70 with my initials on it. And it still sounds good.
Of course, dude. It's the old faithful, man. It's like there's certain pedals, you know, if you notice, like guitars, pedals, amps, nothing has really changed since they first did them. It was their perfection from the beginning. You know what I mean? And that's that.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything, phones, everything, technology, all other technology, everything. Yeah, of course, people trying to use like modeling and amps and like that, and I appreciate them. I have a Kemper in my studio, but more to create. Like I want to go quick. I want give me a quick amp telly sound. But when I fucking go, it's very simple. It's just my guitar going into my rad pedal that has distortion all the way off at like fucking 8 o'clock, and then the volume on the rad pedal is like the opposite at like 11 o'clock, and then the filter thing is in the middle. And anybody else, when I was on tour Generation X and those guys on stage with Vi and Yngwie and Zach and all those guys toasting, they're like, what is with your rad pedal? It's just sitting on your amp. You don't touch it. You don't hit it. And it's been there since you're like 12. What's going on? And then I give them the guitar and I'm like, here, play it. And I'm like, keep playing. And I put it in. They're like, I hear nothing. What is going on? And I'm like, precisely. I'm like, it's not a hearing thing. It's a feel thing.
It's a tactile.
But I said, now do this. Now go to your bottom end and play something that I would play where you mute the bottom end, or you go gung, 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 like where you mute it. And I go, now listen to it on enough. And they went, oh shit.
Yeah.
It tightens the bottom end of the amp for me. That's all it does. So that way it's not floppy like gong gong gong, it's like gong gong gong. It's like giving it a kick drum head in front of it.
Yeah.
And I've not been able to not have it since I was like 12 or 13. It's been in front of my amp, just sits on the amp, and the guitar goes in there, and it comes out and it goes back in. Straight to a DSL 2000 on this album, 2000. And a lot of people go like, what do you mean you use a 2000? I don't like those amps. I'm like, well, I'm lying a little bit, because if normal people they use the treble, presence, and mid-range. And I'm like, what do you mean? You don't use it? I'm like, well, you look at my amp, the treble is on like 1.5, 2, the presence is on 1.5, 2, the mids is on like the same thing, and the bass is up at about 4 or 5. No,
Yeah.
And then I go, but then that allows me to turn it up quite a bit without it hurting. And it's just perfect warmth. I don't know if it's the brown sound, I don't know what the fuck it is, but it's just enough for me to play the way I want to express. So when I do bend a note loud, it doesn't fucking hurt everybody and me in the room, and it's just something I can hit harder and I can play harder, and it's warmer, but it's still fiery.
Right.
So that's like the EQ. People look at my EQ on stage and they go, oh, somebody fucked up your settings. I'm like, no, that's it.